So James, we're sorry we're making you do this, but
The NBA playoffs aren't going to make you money.
Who's playing right now? I don't even know. I haven't
the
kept
Heat
up.
and the Celtics. James says y'all making us choose between NBA players on this pod daily, bro. I love it. I love it. That's so cool. Yeah, which one's making you more money? Unless you're betting on the game, which you can do in some states.
Wasn't it a blowout? Like, wasn't it a sweep, or are they starting the next round?
That was the Lakers Nuggets. Today, it'll determine if Celtics get blown out by Miami. So we will see that.
Yeah.
David, thank you for being here. Greetings from Germany, 9 a.m. Emmanuel, Brian, Ebierson. I've never seen that name before. That's awesome. Pierto, Jared, Eberson. That's how you say it?
Yeah, I think so.
That's so cool. Alex, Brian, Bot 101. Thank you for being here. We are an hour early today because we all got some stuff to do. But we appreciate you all being here tonight. Now, to start off the pod, I just want to share a tweet by someone. Oh, wow. And he disappeared.
He's like, fuck this nonsense. I'm going to watch the game.
You know, he said his headphones were fine. I wanted to do this when he was here. He says, time to get ready for the junkies. Josh says, talk more about you. We heard you talk about Tesla. Vitaly says, we got plenty of time. We have 10 years left of this. So Vitaly, the guy who's always trying to leave as soon as we get to 11 p.m. so he can go get some sleep, he wants to do this for 10 years, boys. I guess that's how long.
Dude, if Nick, no offense, but if we're still doing this at the 10 years, like my portfolio didn't do what I needed to do. Straight up.
Well, here's the thing, bro.
You got 2-3 years left.
If it becomes a legit media company, there might be a lot of money to do it for 10 years, you know?
But then it's a different beast altogether. It's not me sitting in my freaking.
You will not be sitting in there.
It's not me sitting
in your
there.
studio.
People don't see this. People don't see this.
It's yo, you got to show it off to me. That's a dope fucking place. Like,
this is
that's your office. That's literally your office.
At the back, like a little back house in my estate. We'll call it an estate.
Dude, I'm in a converted walk-in closet. Like,
Get out
literally,
of here.
it's a walk-in closet. Yeah.
Wait, I thought it was like an office, bro. It looks like an office.
Move the camera. Move the camera.
Yeah, here. I'll show you.
Yeah, we're all showing our space, so you got to move your camera around and show a little bit about.
It's actually not that big, but
damn, that's actually pretty small.
Chris is in a fucking dungeon.
I thought he was in like a whole office.
No, dude. I just set it up.
Yeah,
my wife when I told her. No, my wife, like, it's a pretty big like space, right? But I measured everything out.
This is a big closet.
Yeah. No, but it works. It's perfect for podcasting. Like, literally, it works. It works really well. Like, the sound is really nice. I don't like if I need to just turn everything off, I can just close the door. I have great.
Chris, can you show us your bed right next to the computer there?
No, it's not there. It's on the outside. It's on the outside.
All right, Amit, let's see you. Move that camera around.
I think people have seen it before, but it's just a regular room.
A regular room with fake bricks.
His bed is right there.
I was waiting for this.
It's like fucking Truman Show.
That's it.
We have confirmation that this is not a real.
We have confirmation.
Oh my god.
What do you mean confirmation?
Dude, just
This
dude just schleps out of bed. That's what he just gets out of bed.
One day he's gonna leave the camera in the wrong direction.
He gets it right. He just falls out of bed right into the chair. Good morning, guys. Mark it open.
Fake bricks.
Listen, you gotta fake it till you make it. Eventually, those bricks will be real, right? Hopefully, once our truist gets to where it needs to go, it'll be some real bricks, right, Amit?
All right, Vitaly, what do you got? What's to the left there? Where's the 3D printer?
Left.
Let's see it.
The left. Well, I think it's reversed. With
camera left. Camera left. Yeah.
I can't show you. There's like some sort of a doll there. I don't want to point this out. Just fucking
some sort of a doll.
There you go. You guys see?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. 3D printer's back there though. It's a new one. Actually, hold on. I got the new one. It's a Creality. I got the new thing. It just came out.
That the 3D one? The 3D
it's
printer?
the new hotness.
No, you printed some cool stuff, like some stuff that you like needed. That's the stuff you printed for producer wife in the business. Like the clouds.
Amit, your internet is slower. I'm hearing some sound.
Bro, you need to get the T-Mobile 5G internet. It's so freaking good, and it's like 200 up, 200 down.
Here. It's hard. Let me see. It's not much there. Computers, closet. Not too much.
Yeah.
There you go. You there, Amit? I don't know. I don't hear Amit.
I don't hear him either. I think he just disappeared. I mean, it's funny because I'm looking at the stream like on my YouTube app, and he's the only one that's frozen. We're fine though.
No, he's frozen. He's frozen, and he's
this
like,
is good. Yeah.
He's like, everyone just stay like this. So when he comes back on, he'll be like, "What?
Hold on, just be frozen for 5 minutes." All right, so I actually wanted to get this started with some Tesla stuff. Me and Carlos talked earlier. I had an appointment.
Oh, Amit's gone. All right, cool. Now we can get started with the real show, guys.
Exactly. Oh, he's back.
Wait, am I back? Can you guys see me and hear me? All that stuff?
Yeah.
You're a little bit choppy, a little pixelated.
You're a little like
what
you're
internet?
a little like 2015 Periscope.
And
Like,
someone has a
Good.
sound
It's
on
supposed
too.
to be. It's good. All right, you guys talk. I'll be back in a second.
All right.
So I did want to talk a little bit about Tesla in a different way, not just the stock, because today I had to fix something with my car. So my car wasn't closing since day one. I picked it up. The doors weren't closing properly. So day one in, I think it was October of last year. Is that like 8 months ago? I don't even know. 5, 6, 7, 8. Around 8 months ago.
About.
The doors weren't closing properly. They were misaligned from the Texas factory. So meaning like when you'd have to like really shove it to close it. And obviously if you overpay for a car, which is now like $15,000 less, you want your doors to work.
Yeah.
And because we bought it way before the price cuts, unfortunately, in January. So I went the first time, I think maybe 7 months ago or 6 months ago to actually get the doors fixed. And they fixed most of it where it actually closes right. But then I had a little bit of misalignment left, right? But I want to take you through what happened the first time. The first time I had to give them my card. So like I would come there, I gave them my actual card.
Explain what you mean. The key cards, which is how you used to get into the vehicle. I'll show you.
Yeah, the Tesla key card. So I'd have to give them that. I also brought it closer to the service center. I mean, I guess they would have figured out where it was, but it was much more structured, like a conventional. It's not a conventional place, but it was much more structured. Like you have to give them the keys. You have to bring it closer to the service part. Okay. And then I waited there. They actually gave you an Uber credit. But I didn't go anywhere because I just wanted my car. I didn't want to go home. It was like an hour away from me. And they only have around me, there's like 3 service centers. So I get to pick one of them, but they're an hour away in Jersey. So I waited there and it took around 4 hours, maybe 5, but around over 4 hours to actually fix the doors or fix the alignments. Right now, I just want to bring you to today. I get there today. I'm like, all right, I'm checking in. Besides billing me, which I got rid of the bill because this was a problem they should fix for free. I'm like, all right, here's my card because I thought I knew the process. I left my card double parked. And she's like, no, we don't need the card. I'm like, okay. So I was actually taken aback. So like they have access to the car right from her computer. Like just the woman there at the at the kiosk basically has access to the car anytime she wants, which actually took me back. I wasn't like thrilled about that. I was like, all right, so now you don't even need the car. You could just access it anytime. And I'm like, do I have to move the car anywhere? She's like, no. They're going to go get it. They know where it is. I'm like, well, it's double parked. She's like, oh, okay, I could just put it into a parking at least somewhere. Then they'll find it. They took the car in. And as soon as I got it, I think it was like 5-10 minutes after I got there, they actually took the car. And it took 45 minutes this time.
Before you do, talk about service mode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, service mode was weird. So I got in the car to move it to the spot. They already put it into service mode right from her keyboard, which was crazy. And it turns off a lot of stuff. Like it was weird driving it. So like the regen is off. It feels weird.
The regen is off. The power steering is off.
It's
and
all disconnected.
All of the electronics that help you driver assistance is all over. So you're literally turning battery connected to motors and and
it's just a red screen and it says it's in service mode.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, this is really now getting automated where they know where the car is. They don't need my keys. Like everything is sort of gone now. You're walking into a clean room. If no one's been at a Tesla service center, it's literally a clean room. Me and Carlos talked about it, but there's no guy with overalls and an oil spill. It's like you go.
Oh, you walk in and it looks like the back of the Apple store. So it's like a bunch of boxes on the wall, and then the floor is completely clean, no oil stains, no smell, and like the machine that the lift that lifts the cars up, it's the same color as when they delivered it. It's not janky. Everything is just super clean. It looks more like the back of a computer repair store than it does a car repair shop.
It is. I don't even
these guys are IT guys. Yeah, these guys are like computer guys. They're not.
I don't know if we should call them mechanics anymore. Like I don't know if that's the term that you should call these guys.
Well, no, I mean
Mick,
mechanics.
can you turn off your computer?
The YouTube feed. Mechanics. A mechanic implies working on mechanical systems. There's almost really no mechanical systems in a Tesla other than like the steering wheel hard connection to the. Everything else is electronic. So they're
Yeah, I don't know.
they're just like they're like techs.
But okay, so I get there. This happens pretty fast, but you get there and it's packed, by the way. So everyone was thinking like, oh, Tesla, as they release more cars, obviously Elon says the best part is no parts. And I'm looking at it, there is like just hundreds, maybe thousands of cars. Like they're just littered everywhere. They're double parked, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You look inside the service center, every lift is taken. There's cars just standing there. Techs are moving all around. So right away I started thinking, oh my God, this is like a massive bull case for Tesla, because like, yes, we don't want to service our cars, but yes, you're going to service a Tesla car. And if their fleet is only 3 million cars, right? If their fleet is only 3 million cars currently today, and they're going to make another 2 million and then another 3.5 million as 50% compounded time goes on, what happens to actually servicing all these cars? So I still haven't looked fully into if they even break it out. I don't know if they do, but what is the servicing income that they get? I don't know if they actually break this out in terms of like just seeing what happens there, because that's going to double, triple, quadruple as these next couple of years happen. So we'll talk about it in a second. But I also want to mention that when I got my car, I was ready for 4 hours, by the way. I was ready to sit there. In 45 minutes, the thing was ready. So the reason I bring up the first story to this one is, okay, so that was like a 4 to 5x improvement in time for a similar issue to fix that. The whole thing has become completely automated. That's the second thing. The third thing is like, it's all like privacy. We should talk about privacy concerns here, because they control my car. Like if they want to steal my car, if they want to shut me down in the middle of the road, they apparently have the ability to do it at any time. And the last thing is like service, I think, is a much bigger deal than I originally thought. Having seen all of these vehicles moving in and out, I was sort of shocked at the amount of vehicles that were there getting serviced.
Yeah, we need to clarify something. Like when we talk about EVs, people say, oh, they have no maintenance. Like there's no cost. You buy the car. There's a difference between having maintenance and repairs. Like the Teslas are still subjected to being damaged in the same way that other vehicles are. So there's always going to be a need for service. And I don't know exactly what the markup is, but I was telling Vitaly a story how somebody hit the back of the Model Y that we have, and the license plate cover essentially smashed the back bumper. And so when we went to get it in, just to get an idea of what the markups could be on this, the little bumper that's at the bottom, which is like a decorative bezel at the bottom of the Model Y, was like $795. And I know this because the woman opted to not go through insurance. She didn't want to do an insurance claim and raise her insurance. She's like, I'll just pay for it on the side. So I actually got the invoice and she paid for it. So if they're charging $795 for a piece of plastic, these markups are like 80%. It's got to be. Which means that it's a very high margin profit for Tesla selling these parts. On top of already making, say, 20 to 30% on the vehicle, they're making, say, 60, 70% on repairs for it. And I had similar.
You're probably connected via your headphone. You're connected via your headphone to your speaker.
Oh, with the mic?
There's a delay when you talk.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go back to fixing it. Sorry.
Because we can hear the hissing. There you go. Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, Vitaly, you're muted.
You're muted.
We're the three unprofessional YouTubers here, and Amit is on like 24/7 streaming, and still the mic issue persists, like from like 6 months ago. But go ahead.
He's the legacy auto, and we're the Tesla of the.
The other thing is the battery replacements are going to be really profitable, because at the end of the day, the battery is pretty modular, right? All you have to do is just take off 4 or 5 screws.
It's not anymore.
No,
it's
this leads us to the next thing. So Vitaly and I were talking. There was a guy who tweeted. I gotta find this thing. I gotta see if I can find it. Maybe when someone else is talking. There's a guy who tweeted, and he was getting sick of Tesla charging them. He was saying he has Tesla insurance. So Tesla insurance is basically dynamic pricing based on how you drive. So if you're a safer driver, you're going to get less of a bill a month. But he kept getting banged because he's getting out of work at 10 p.m. And he's like, they charge you higher insurance rates, or they bang your safety score by driving late at night. And he's like, it's not my fault that I got out of dinner late at 10 o'clock, or I'm doing most of my driving at 3 or 4 in the morning. And it got us into this conversation about this sort of new world where like the car company or the insurance companies can see everything that you're doing and basically have can track you all the time. It's like Vitaly was saying, like they can get into your car at any time. I've had issues with my Tesla, and I would write the guy on the Tesla app, and they respond to me and say, where are you right now? I'm like, oh, I'm down in whatever, I'm down in like Huntington Beach. He's like, he logs in because I was having an issue where one of my ultrasonic sensors was detecting an object where it wasn't. So the Falcon Wing door would not want to open. And I would say, there's nothing there. I can see that there's nothing there. And he would say, let me check. Just literally log into the Tesla, say, don't worry about it. I got the report. Come in tomorrow. And it's great. Now, it's very convenient. But yeah, there are some, I guess you could say, safety or privacy implications to it. I would say that it's not anything different than what we're used to with our laptops and our phones. It's just we're not used to it in a car. So it is strange. And I do know that this opens the door, for example, for a law to be passed that the police can take over your vehicle at any point, right? If you're in a high-speed chase, they could just turn off your car. Like me, I can put my car in valet mode, right? If somebody steals my car, let them take the car. And when they stop at a light, just put it in valet mode. Now they can't go past 35 miles an hour or whatever it is, right? So imagine what the police can do. They can move your car out of the way. There's people
they could give it instructions to go right to the police station.
They could do that, and they could lock you in. I've heard where they like firemen pull up to a house and they need to, like, if you're parked somewhere, they can tell the self-driving cars to move out of the way and get a parking space, because most of the time they'll just smash your
I think that's wrong. Service will be a massive profit center because Tesla's a monopoly, basically, when it comes to EV and EV parts. So even if they have third parties doing this, they're going to provide all the parts.
Every car company provides warranty. We're not talking about warranty service. We're talking about, I ran over a pothole, I broke a piece of glass, somebody hit me in the door. That's what we're talking about. That's profitable.
Tesla's going to make bank there. I 100% saw it today. I'm like, who needs to fix a fucking EV, as we keep talking about? But this place is packed.
No,
like
it is. It's packed, and and we were saying that doesn't even account for the number of mobile service guys that are all around, out everywhere, just going to people's homes, fixing stuff, doing tire rotations for you.
Here's a food for thought. There might be a bear case for this. Does that mean that what we're hearing with regards to Tesla having quality control issues, is that a problem that you're seeing? Because you just said, like, hey, I'm having trouble with the door. Like, in order for them to rush these cars out the door, I mean, how much does it cost to fix this in the back end? Because I mean, you didn't bear the cost of it, but Tesla, the company, had to, pay for the labor, pay for the part, pay for all this stuff. I mean, is this something that they should be working on at the front end so that they don't have to necessarily pay for it at the back end?
I think any startup or any company trying to ramp out this many vehicles is going to have these sort of quality control issues. Yeah. They're also not building cars the way that cars have been traditionally built. So there is going to be a learning curve. And typically people do complain about things like panel gaps or paint issues was a big deal a few years back, and they're getting that under control. Yes, there's going to be some of those issues, but understand that these guys are salaried workers. Like they're hourly guys. So they're there anyway doing stuff. So I don't know that it's necessarily as much of a charge as you'd expect. They're just going to be working on one thing versus another.
Well, Chris, I think you're right. It has to eventually be fixed. But if you look at, Tesla's not necessarily a startup like they used to be. But if you think about it, they are technically producing this Model 3 and Model Y for, 4 years? That's it. It's not like Ford has been around 100 years and got their manufacturing down, obviously, and their panel gaps and their paint shop and whatever. 4 years is really nothing in the grand scheme of things. So I think in the next 4 or 5 years, Tesla's scaling so fast, there's still going to be these problems because they're moving so fast. But as long as they built it in and their gross margin doesn't go to zero, like Elon keeps saying, they can eat the cost of this type of stuff, right? So I'm not too worried about it. And in fact, I see as the fleet gets older and they make more cars, you're just going to need more service centers, more parts, more doors, more bumpers. Soon, third parties will come in. They're going to have to buy their bumpers, their doors, and all these other parts.
The other thing to consider, the other thing to consider here is Legacy Auto are predominantly selling their vehicles either at cost or at a small loss because they make up the difference over service over the life of the vehicle. Ford, GM, all those companies, they make 40% margins on service, and they already know what the service plan for it's going to be. You have to go to the dealership. You have to get your oil change. You have to get your transmission change. You have to get alignments, right? Things break. Boots, the CV boots break. And so they know that there is planned obsolescence in these things. They know exactly how many times your suspension is going to be able to travel before you're going to need to get certain things replaced. And that's where they make their money. Tesla's not trying to do that. So by and large, there's going to be less of that service. They're trying to make their money. They're trying to make the margins on the sale of the vehicle. It's a different business model.
Yeah.
I have a question. Is the mic okay?
Yeah, cool. You're back.
Mic's all right.
Welcome back.
It's I'm here. Let's say when FSD becomes a thing and the car is driving itself and it drives over a pothole, do you have to pay for that? Because that's the car's mistake. That's not your like. The car did
Good
that
question.
stupid shit, not you.
Apparently, from
That's
what
a
I
good-
understand,
that's
from
a
what
good question, right?
no, from what I understand, once the vehicle is in control of Tesla, they assume the responsibility for the vehicle.
So how are they going to get all the service revenue you're talking about when FSD happens and the car keeps doing fucking mistakes?
Well,
Then won't Tesla have to cover that?
Yes, if FSD actually happens in any way, I think in the beginning, first of all, they will have to cover it.
Yeah.
There's no way that people will accept FSD or the insurance carriers directly in the beginning. It'll have to be prove out your technology. Tesla will take its liability when it thinks it's good enough, and that's the way it's going to have to proceed.
You know, the
Bring
one
up-
thing I
bring up
wish
Troy's
Tesla.
question. In the meantime, bring up
Yeah.
Troy's question. We should talk about this.
Yeah. You know, one thing I wish that they would do, they would take their camera feeds from front and back, right? And use that to identify all the potholes in specific areas and then upload that to their local DOTs so that this way they can fix it. Because what happens is you literally have road scanners, all around the entire country right now. So anytime there's a pothole that's detected, the camera will see that pothole, be able to determine it's a pothole, send that data to DOT. And so this way, the minute that there's a pothole detected and it goes into the map for the DOT, they just know like, hey, we don't have to plan on going here, plan on that. It's just automatically send the crew to that location. And it's almost like playing whack-a-mole with the roads, right?
The opposite, fill-a-mole.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
also, as soon as a Tesla discovers that, every other Tesla now that drives down that road knows the pothole's there.
Yeah.
So it uploads it and it will.
Yeah, but which is good because what happens is once that pothole is fixed, the next Tesla that passes over it will see that it's fixed and take it off of the main board that's on the that DOT's site. So this is where I would say Elon needs to get in touch with the local DOTs and say, look, I will provide you with this data for free or maybe for a small service fee, because right now the way the DOTs work on potholes is it's self-reported. Right, like people have to report the pothole.
It's 311. You got to call 311.
And I was the guy on Waze reporting potholes. People stuck on the road. I had a lot of points.
And the thing is, most people don't report potholes because they're traveling so fast. They just accept and go, okay, whatever. It's a pothole. That's it. But the thing is, like, this is real-time scanning, real-time pothole detection that you could build into like an operating model for these DOT people, and then they have no excuse. And then you could actually probably upload the data and monitor it live to see where all the potholes are.
I think you can get reimbursed from the state if a pothole's been reported and it hasn't been fixed, and you like blow a tire on it. I think you can get fixed. So if you bend a rim, I'm pretty sure. But let's get
to
you guys
think about
question.
Wait,
let's answer the right to repair.
Let's answer Troy's question, because this is something where people say like, oh, I'm like some sort of like uber freaking Elon Musk fanboy. I'm not a fanboy. I just really believe in what the company's doing on a metric level. And
I have no idea what right to repair is. Can you kind of
right to repair means that once you own the vehicle, you have the right to be able to fix and repair and upgrade things. It's like if I buy, like my first vehicle was a 1981 Camaro, right? It had a 350 engine in it. I was able to go in there, rip it out, rebuild it, put a bigger carburetor on it, like fix my vehicle and update it. You can't do that anymore. This was a thing that people complained about Apple computers. I can't go in there. I can't replace RAM. I can't replace the hard drive. It's like, so there's this idea of a right to repair, meaning I should be able to repair my own vehicle if I'm knowledgeable. But if you do anything to a Tesla, you void the warranty.
Who's that farming company? Basically, the people buy the tractors.
John Deere.
John Deere. They sell tractors right now. Okay, farmers used to buy tractors and fix their own tractors. Remember, they're hundreds of miles away from repair shops. Hundreds.
Right. And the thing goes 15 miles an hour.
but now it's hard to move that equipment. But John Deere right now, you cannot fix your own tractor. You're buying a software license for it. You can't mess with it. And hackers are becoming smart, and they're actually hacking into John Deere. And these farmers are downloading illegal software to be able to run their tractors the way they want to. It's kind of crazy. So when a farmer loses their tractor, you understand their business is fucked. That's it. So this is going on right now, this massive thing of right to repair movement. And one of the guys, I think even Chris brought up a couple of weeks ago or something, Louis Rossman on the internet, you guys should look him up. He does circuit board repair of Apple computers. He talks about this all the time, that we do not have access to our own computers, equipment, anything. So it's all becoming a closed system. Apple is perfect at doing this. John Deere is perfect. And now Tesla is just following the exact same model. So this is a problem. This is not good. I do not appreciate Elon.
Why are you not on the side of Elon doing this? Why are you so anti?
It should be up to me. Okay, I'll give you another example. Rich Rebuilds, remember he built his own Tesla? And it works. The whole thing works.
The salvage Tesla.
He went to plug it in.
He built it. He repaired a Tesla, or built it like it was like a Franken Tesla. Out of
Well, he
all
built
these
3
broken
Teslas or
Teslas, he
something.
was able to cobble together a Tesla that worked.
Well, he brought it to a supercharger, and then he was blocked from supercharging. Like, why? Literally plugging in electric. I get that there are safety concerns, but he's plugging in electricity into his car, but Tesla knows who's plugging in their cars. That's it. He was blocked. Like, it's almost like saying you have to ride at the back of the bus. Like, honestly, like if it goes
Now,
to
okay,
that level.
to push back on that, if you jailbreak your iPhone and then it has some virus on it, and you're like, "Hey, Apple, it's a faulty iPhone," they're like, "Fuck you, you jailbroke."
No,
it.
you're
It's not
allowed
our
to
fault."
jailbreak. That has been actually passed through a law or some sort. You're allowed to jailbreak your iPhone right now, but you're not allowed to jailbreak your Tesla. Elon will shut you down. These are problems. These are no joke. And the thing is, look, Tesla's a good company. They care about the world. But as this moves forward for the next 20 years, how is this going to be for us? I don't want to be the guy driving my any car and being pulled over by the cops because they just turn on their sirens and my car just pulls over.
Like, exactly. I agree with you. I think that's a real problem. And I know that the legislation is already in place in certain states to give police the right to do that. And they sell it to the public being like, well, in the event of a fire, the fire department can tell your vehicle to go find a parking space and save you from getting rammed. That's what they sell it to you. But what happens? Here's the question. Your wife's in labor and you're racing to the hospital, or someone's been injured and you're racing to the hospital and you're running some red lights or you're really close to the hospital. The police pull you over. That could be the difference between life and death. Now that's an extreme edge case, but that's what you're trying to avoid, is this idea of like, do I have autonomy? Like, did I buy a vehicle or did I buy the right to drive this vehicle? That's very different. And those are different prices.
I'm confused because Elon is the free speech absolutist libertarian ethic. Why is he doing this? Why is he not giving you guys
money?
Dude,
Money.
look, at the end of the day, he's a businessman. He's a businessman.
Because, okay, if you're him, think about this from his perspective. You have to look at it from his perspective. If you allow people, same thing with Apple, if you allow people to jailbreak their phones, what are you inviting that could potentially hurt the Apple brand, right? What are you inviting into the system that you can't control for? And whenever these companies, they want to control for everything. So what if they allowed you to be able to do your own repairs or to do your own modifications? Somebody is going to rip a plaid motor out of a Model S that's salvaged and they're going to put it in a Model 3. Okay. They're going to do that. And is the Model 3's drivetrain sufficient to handle the power of that? Is the battery system capable of handling? These are things you don't know, right? But people will do it. And so you can do it. Somebody will figure it out. And is that something that Elon wants to allow? I don't know. I can see both sides of it. But as a guy that grew up like working on both of my Camaros and my Jeep Wrangler, that's part of the fun of owning a vehicle, is customizing it and making it your own. And all you can do on a Tesla is replace the brakes and some cosmetics.
This is a good point. How could you support unlimited use cases of people doing that?
It's true.
That's also something to weigh, right, and balance against it.
It's true, but all of those vehicles that I've owned were pre-owned. Like, I wasn't expecting to have like the original manufacturer's warranty on a Jeep Wrangler that was 5 years old, or but I don't agree that if a guy builds his own Tesla, should he be blocked from supercharging? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like, totally blocked. They could have just limited him to something more reasonable, like level 2 charging. Like, we don't know your car, we're dropping you down to level 2 charging. But I mean, like, I'm level 2 charging it at my house,
right?
From a thing I installed by myself. So it's so messed up that we are becoming a culture. I think it's American. It's an American problem, actually.
Totally.
We need somebody else to tell us it's okay to do something.
It's not so much American. It's just how business works now. Like, I'll give you an example of something that's very similar in the healthcare field. Like, back in the day, when you bought like a CT machine, X-ray machine, MRI, whatever, you would get a service contract from the manufacturer, right? So if anything went down, you could call the service manufacturer, but the service manufacturers would charge a lot. Like GE, you call them in, that's like just the phone call alone will cost you $1,000, and then they send a guy from.
They better be sweet talking. You be like,
yeah. So if you saw the labor costs, bro, they're out of this world. So
let me add something to that before you leave the GE thing. All those things back in the 70s and 80s used to come with plans. You can call the service manufacturer, but you actually had the circuit board plans that if some chip went bad, you can replace that chip. It's no longer that way. You can't do that.
The thing is, so back in the day, people used to actually have third-party service vendors who
Mhm.
would service all your equipment. And just like Vitaly said, they would have all the plans waiting for you. And what you could do is just call GE and they'll send you a certified GE part. They would do all the labor, they would do all the part, or you could get it from a third-party source, like let's say an old CT machine from another hospital. They were throwing out their machine. You could take some of their parts and put them in your CT machine, and then you have it working, right? So essentially everything is functioning correctly. Now the vendors lock their shit down. They're like, look,
Yep.
first of all, they won't share the service code with the third-party service people. They're just saying, sorry, it's not part of it's not what we do. You're just gonna have to figure your way around it. So first of all, they don't even have the diagnostic tools to diagnose what's going on with the issue. Most third-party vendors now end up having to call GE. GE sends their guy. They build a third-party vendor, and the third-party vendor bills us. So it's such a fucking weird
It's
thing.
just passing money.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's and the other thing is they basically when you buy it like a machine now, it comes 100% fully loaded with everything that you'll ever need for that machine. But they vendor lock it so that whatever you purchase is like a software as a service. So basically you call them, and say, hey, listen, I need the cardiac package turned on the CT machine. They'll say, okay, send us a purchase order for $50,000, and then they'll remotely turn it on. And there you go. Now you have a cardiac package on your CT machine. Other than that, you can't scan the heart for like specific exam.
That's what's happening. I think there was a case where people sued Ford for that because there's a case now where people are saying, hey, like if my vehicle has heated seats in it, you can't charge me. It was like a subscription fee to get heated seats in a Ford, say a Mach-E. And so I think it was Jersey that passed the law that says you cannot charge customers for something that's built into the car when they took possession of it. So if it has heated seats, you cannot charge.
That's got to be only for cars.
Yeah, so same for cars. Yeah, for cars.
So there's a guy who said, Charles Stewart, he said most hospitals hire their own biomed teams. Absolutely. But what's happening is every year that these newer machines are coming out, the biomed people that you can hire, it's becoming less and less that they can actually fix everything without having to call the manufacturer. Like manufacturers, and here's the other thing that the manufacturers do and they think they're sneaky, but they will sell you the actual machine for cheaper than what it cost them to build it, right? Because they know that they're going to make their money on the service revenue that they're going to get for servicing the machine and providing
that's what most legacy auto is doing, and that model just doesn't work with EVs because you don't have the built-in routine maintenance. This is part of the problem for them.
We had a price quote for a GE CT machine and a Siemens CT machine. The Siemens CT machine was like maybe a third more expensive, but the GE machine, it was cheaper. So the hospital went with the GE one, but the Siemens one rarely ever went down. And it was always like fixable by third parties and everything. But GE just has the damn thing locked down. Now, here's the thing. It's almost like a bait and switch, right? Yeah. Where they'll give you something cheaper up front, but they're like, yes,
that's the whole tripping over dollars to pick up pennies.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
So Jeremy says, how about new car manufacturers are selling cars and delivering them without packages the car should have because of the chip shortage?
That's a mess too, but they are offering those as like not upgrades, but like service. As they get the parts, they have you come in and install whatever those sensors are.
BMW does that too. BMW right now has like a feature where you can just call them and have them turn on like vibrating seats because it's cheaper for them during the manufacturing process just to build out a single model
base, and get it out
base. But then like later on, if you want a package turned on, you just call them and they software unlock it and let you have the part. So instead of having like a version that has seat warmers and one that doesn't, they just have everything has seat warmers, but the only difference is they're all vendor locked. So you would just have to call the vendor and
this is a big question of consumer rights. Like this is where we're getting into now. Like now that vehicles are more like electronics and electronics are like you're saying, like vehicles, we have to establish what this is. We have to establish what the rules are because the consumer's losing on all fronts on this.
Well, look, I actually don't mind Tesla charging for FSD. I don't mind people even charging for heated seats. The problem I find is that if I tinker with Tesla's thing, like the doors, for example, a perfect example, they know I tinkered with it.
Yeah.
And when I come in for my warranty thing, I have no more warranty. So that's it. That's the problem. Okay, so this is
What
where
if you painted the car? What if you wrapped the car in like a
That's
new
fine.
paint? Is that's
that's fine,
fine?
but that can cause issues with the ultrasonic sensors. A buddy of mine wrapped his car, and it
I don't know
creates
if
an
that's
extra.
fine.
It
They're gonna
creates an
find a
extra
reason.
layer for it to
Yeah.
go through, and it might not read distance correctly because you've put something in front
No,
of it.
but to see, Tesla has a great point here. They're like, how the fuck are we supposed to, give you our FSD if you junk up the car, right? Like that's a legitimate argument.
No. But I'm telling you right now, if I just touch the doors and it's just a couple of bolts to correct it, it's not like a difficult thing. And in fact, on my old car, the Pathfinder, I probably would have just adjusted the bolts because nobody's monitoring me. But if I touch anything on a Tesla right away, beep, 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 error. And then the error is right there. It's logged. When I come into the service center, well, why did you touch your car? Why did you touch the door? And it's not like I could go to some third party right now and say
They do but they do in every state or around you. You can go to Tesla certified centers, just like Apple.
There's not a lot of them. Nope.
There's
not a lot
no,
of them.
there isn't a lot of them.
I looked
Out
it
here,
up.
there's probably more because they have the factory
Nope.
right here. So I know that there are more than a few Tesla certified centers that are authorized to do the repairs that would still be under warranty. So maybe they need to expand that a little bit more because what's happening is as more Teslas get on the road, the small mom and pop mechanic is basically just replacing tires and air filters. That guy is not making the money. Those guys are going out of business, and they can work. There's things that they can do. They're not even doing emissions tests anymore. Think about it's just completely gutting that business. So
no oil changes. Oil changes are huge.
No oil changes, no transmission changes, no differentials. All you do is tire rotations, brakes.
Well, even brakes last 3 to 5 years longer than conventional brakes.
Yeah. You're only permitted to drive the car you pay for. What does that say? It is not actually yours. That's the point. But back in the day, if I paid full sticker price for a vehicle, it was mine. It was an asset. That's like someone telling you can't change the freaking light bulb in your house. That's like an HOA. That's not how it should work. If I own my home, I should be able to do whatever I want to it. I do understand. People have said, I do understand these are super high voltage systems that you can get hurt in ways that you can't say with gas vehicles. But anyway,
but once again, I'm not saying touch the battery. It should be like, okay, guys, you can't touch the battery, the powertrain. That's just too dangerous. We're not willing to warranty that. Like if you mess with that. But if I correct my door issue, how is we're Gordon Johnson? No, but we have to point out the negatives, what's going on, because it's not all positive. This is going to be a terrible world if we can't fix any of our own shit.
What is it? The World Economic Forum? You will own nothing, and you'll be happy.
Yes,
right. They actually said that, right?
That's exactly what that is. Okay, so the next part of this conversation, because I was in Starbucks and Vitaly and I were talking, I was thinking all right, so now fast forward 2 to 5 more years, most of Teslas are now made with the GigaPress and the structural battery pack, which means now the entire car is essentially 3 parts. Does that mean that any minor fender bender, now the car is completely totaled because any damage to the frame, there's nothing to replace. You don't have an upper control arm and a lower.
There's no battery pack anymore. In 5 years or 4 years, no battery pack on all these
battery
cars.
pack is a part of the structure.
What do you mean there's no battery pack? Oh, it's part of the structure. That's what
the battery pack.
What happens when you dent half of your structure? Something happens.
If you get into a minor fender bender now, say in your ICE vehicle, they can look at the parts that are messed up, find the last point where it's still intact, and replace everything after that. The Giga casting is one solid piece in the back, a structural battery pack in the middle, and then another piece in the front, and everything's bolted to that. So that means if you get rear-ended, right, and it damages the rear Giga casting, can you replace a rear Giga casting? And what's the cost of that?
I can't. That's astronomical. It's probably
because
they're going to total all the cars.
Right.
As soon as you get into
normally you replace just maybe a little piece of the suspension.
That's why a lot of insurance companies, they will not insure Teslas because the cost of repairing a Tesla is so high.
No, they do insure. Yeah, they do insure.
I've never had anybody deny when I was getting quotes for insurance. Nobody.
They charge more. Yeah. They charge more. Like essentially
every
Tesla is considered.
Because what it is the cost of repair is so high. Most Teslas end up just getting totaled. They're just like, look, the cost is way beyond what it would cost to just get a new Tesla. So instead, they'll just give you the face value of the car. Because that's what they do. Insurance will just say, hey, this is the value of the car. This is the money. Here's a check. Call it a day. And they'll walk away, instead of trying to get someone to replace it. But see, this is where this leaves an opportunity for a lot of legacy auto to say, look, Tesla is being a little bit heavy-handed with this, and we know that there's a large part of the population that does not like this. Let's build a car for the everyday man where they're not beholden to this, because there's still a huge car culture in the United States where people do not want to be like you guys. You guys are Tesla diehards, but even you guys don't agree with this, right? So maybe that's one angle.
I'm a Gen X guy. I came from the muscle cars, the muscle cars.
Yeah, and maybe that's one of the things that they need to basically reinforce with their EVs.
As I said in the chat, I have a video. I found a video. I don't know if you guys follow or on YouTube the limiting factor. I'm going to present here. I have it queued up. Let me share this window. Tell me if you guys can see this. There you go. All right, so I'm just going to play a little bit. This guy's great. This guy's awesome. He gives great information on Tesla. He's an engineer himself, and this is what.
Hold on, Carlos.
Yes.
Why are Ukrainian women being advertised to you? What are you searching for on Google?
This is the joke.
What are you searching for on Google?
I swear to you.
Finally, we can see his search history.
It's like, do you want Tesla?
I was like, what the?
It's not Carlos. It's Carplos that's searching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is what you get when you're a Palantir investor.
Single Ukrainian women. We want a single Ukrainian.
Right. That doll that Vitaly was talking about. It's a Ukrainian. All right, so it's queued up. Let me know if you can hear it. And this guy's talking about this very thing. I think the answer is not going to be what you expect.
We can't hear it.
We can't hear it. Do it again, Carlos, and press share sound in the bottom of the stream.
Can you just click the Ukrainian ad?
In the bottom of the stream.
I just want to see where that goes.
See, is this Carlos's app or is it Vitaly's desktop? Which one is it?
Where is that? Sorry, where is that?
So exit out. Press stop sharing at the top, real quick. Okay, now
I think he just closed.
Bro, Steve did this on SoFi Weekly, and it's okay because we know Steve's technologically not the best, but Carlos.
Well, Carlos gets 12 minutes of sleep. Apparently, this is what happens.
Yeah, he does.
Like, fuck you guys. All right, so share, present.
So present, share screen, and share sound right at the bottom. Share tab audio.
Share tab audio.
We need to save Ukrainian women. I agree.
It is pressed.
Bro, just imagine after this war how many single Ukrainian women there are going to be. Unfortunately, all right? I don't want to sound negative, but there's going to be a lot of single Ukrainian women out there.
Don't mess with me, producer wife.
Let me know if you can you hear it?
No. So your sound must you have to put the sound probably to your speaker. That's in sound settings.
Wait.
Just send it to Amit.
Sharing a window. Yes.
Just send it to Amit, please. Even though he doesn't know how to use a mic, he
no,
might know how to share a screen.
I'll just look up the video. Whatever.
Let me try this again. Present, share screen, share tab audio. Maybe I'll just share the whole freaking thing. That's what I've got. Share tab audio, entire screen. Yep. Okay.
Well, Windows, surprisingly, we're still moving up in people watching.
People are still. We got 392.
You know what? Thank you. That was really insensitive. I apologize for saying that. Like, there's going to be a lot of single Ukrainian women out there. Sorry, I apologize.
All right, let's see.
That was kind of rough, but true. You know, it was.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of single Russian women too.
Tesla gigacastings. No, I'm going to look it up right now. Tesla gigacastings.
DCA into Ukraine.
This is fucking annoying. Hold on.
Oh man,
it's probably your computer, bro.
Dude, just send him the link. Why are we even worrying about this? Just send him the link.
Yeah, send me the link because the guy names every fucking video Tesla gigacastings.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna send it. I'll send it to you.
When I type it in Google, there's like 1 trillion results. I'm like,
here. It's queued up. This should take you right to it. Here, try this.
On private chat. Okay, there we go. All right.
There
we go. Perfect. Yeah. Let's share my screen. Now, if this doesn't work, this one's gonna be funny.
Then we're just gonna do a mime. We'll just do it as a mime, and I'll do it in Spanish.
First, as mentioned in the previous video, I'm not a vehicle structural engineer. I'm doing the best with the limited information available to me. If I misstep in the video, let me know with some constructive feedback.
Do it at like 1.5 speed or even 2.
Let's get into it. The main concern with Tesla's gigacastings in my last video was repairability. The theory is that if a giant piece of cast aluminum is used, repair costs will be sky high or repair will be simply impossible. Let's look at a picture of a vehicle body to understand whether this is the case. We'll start with side impacts. As we see in this image from Tesla's Q1 2020 investor slide deck, the gigacasting is buried under a good 10 to 15 centimeters of rocker, wheel wells, and bumper. Additionally, the wheel wells will also house wheels that absorb impact before intruding into the gigacasting. That is, at low speed, the exterior of the body and wheels should absorb the impact of fender benders before intruding into the underbody casting. For a side impact at moderate speed, the gigacasting might be damaged, and that might result in the car being a write-off. However, when the wheel does contact the gigacasting, it'll be met with the broad side of the gigacasting and the structural webbing we see here. My guess is that the wheel and tire would act as a crush can, dissipating and distributing the energy across a pretty massive chunk of aluminum. But let's say that's not the case, and the gigacasting is damaged beyond repair. Would a typical vehicle with unibody construction also be a write-off under similar circumstances? The move from body-on-frame construction years ago to a unibody design resulted in lower production costs for high-volume vehicles, but also reduced repairability. This is because, as the name suggests, a unibody is a single molded unit formed by many smaller pieces, and significant damage to any part of the unibody can result in damage to the broader unibody structure. Furthermore, in the last 10 to 15 years, auto OEMs have migrated away from conventional steel to advanced high-strength steel to reduce vehicle weight. Repairs with advanced or ultra-high-strength steel involve ordering a factory replacement part because they have reduced repairability. My assumption is that the same would be true for a gigacasting. In a worst-case scenario, a replacement gigacasting might be required, increasing the odds of a write-off. In my view, in the event of a wreck that damages the casting, the most likely scenario is that the alloy would crack. If that is the case, according to thefabricator.com, the casting should be weldable because of the 3 Series aluminum alloy that Tesla is using. But even if my assumption is true, and cracking is more likely than warping or bending, would the gigacasting actually crack in a moderate speed accident? After reviewing the features of IDRA and LK Machinery's gigapresses and Tesla's alloy, I think the gigacasting will hold up well. We'll get into the material science of the reasons why in later videos of the gigacasting series. At high speeds, like on the highway or fast city driving, the equation for side impacts completely changes. Vehicles are designed to be as expendable as possible to absorb energy from the impact, which reduces the energy that's transferred to the humans they're carrying. This is because the cost of any vehicle repair is dwarfed by the cost of medical care for people injured in the accident. For this reason, my guess is that most vehicles are written off when they get in accidents at high speed, regardless of whether it's a side impact, front, or rear impact. This means that in the next class of accidents we're going to cover, front and rear collisions, I won't devote more time to high-speed front and rear collisions. I'll focus just on low and moderate speed collisions. Let's take a look, starting with the rear of the vehicle. As we can see in this image, there appears to be about 30 centimeters at the rear of the vehicle between the bumper and the rear underbody casting, which should be enough to absorb the impact from a vehicle traveling at low speeds, and possibly moderate speeds of up to 20 miles per hour or more. Why do I say 20 miles per hour? In this video, a Mercedes at 25 and 12 miles per hour rear-ends a Chevy Malibu. The 12 mile per hour impact does very little damage, whereas the 25 mile per hour impact intrudes roughly 30 centimeters. Doubling the impact speed from 12 to 25 miles per hour actually quadruples the impact energy, meaning even a slight decrease in speed to 20 miles per hour will cause significantly less damage. We also have to factor in that the Chevy Malibu has a massive rear overhang created by the trunk that's much larger than the rear overhang in the Model Y. The trunk would be mostly empty space and probably doesn't contain much structure. I tried to verify this assumption, but I couldn't find an image of the Malibu underbody. Regardless, despite the smaller rear overhang of the Model Y, it has a trick up its sleeve. This is the rear gigacasting of the Model Y. On the left side, you can see 2 structures that have been attached to the gigacasting. What are these? I think we can safely assume these are the crash absorption rails mentioned in this tweet from Elon. These crash absorption rails are bolted to the gigacasting and can be replaced if the vehicle gets in a serious accident. The same is true for the front of the vehicle. This is the front casting of the Model Y with no crash absorption rails. Returning to the image from the Q1 slide deck, we can see that there are also crash absorption rails bolted to the front of the vehicle, forming a bull bar type structure at the front of the vehicle. What this is all telling us is that Tesla's engineers appear to have embedded the underbody castings deep in the vehicle to address issues with repairability. They've purposely left a gap between the outer structures of the vehicle and the gigacastings. Those outer structures include the bumpers, crash absorption rails, fenders, and wheels. This adds up to a vehicle that shouldn't be more expensive to repair or more likely to be written off. But let's say that's incorrect, and Tesla vehicles using a gigacasting are noticeably more expensive to repair and are more likely to be written off. When it comes to accidents, Tesla vehicles have benefits that other vehicles don't. They have some of the best driver's assist safety systems on the market, which reduces the number of car wrecks that Tesla vehicles get into in the first place. As a direct result of that, Tesla vehicles have a different risk profile than other vehicles on the market. Insurance companies haven't given credit to Tesla vehicle owners for this, and Tesla has started their own insurance service, Tesla Insurance, to drive down insurance costs for Tesla owners. It's slowly being rolled out market by market, but hopefully it'll eventually be available to all Tesla owners.
You get it.
This means
So
that was actually fascinating, by the way.
The guy that was such a good video, and he answered the question. Essentially, it seems counterintuitive, but they've designed the vehicle to essentially not need to be written off any more than a regular vehicle would. They've built in those bumpers that can be replaced, and they buried the gigacastings in deep enough that any damage that can get that deep would have totaled the car anyway, because they're trying to protect the people, not the car.
Well, also, if the stats show that Tesla does get into less accidents, then the statistics will play out where maybe even if your car gets totaled, it's a worst case. Like if your Tesla will get totaled as soon as it gets hit,
Yeah.
but it'll happen less often than standard ICE cars.
Exactly.
So that's the benefit.
Exactly.
I could believe that. I could buy that.
Okay.
It was like, did
that
you
was
see
awesome
that?
stuff.
You see that video, that fake video that was circulating of the Cybertruck crash test? That CG guy.
No.
Oh yes, yes.
You thought, oh, this is I don't know. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. That's what made me start thinking about this. It was somebody did like a fake version of a vehicle colliding with the Cybertruck, and the Cybertruck was basically impenetrable. It
It
just
didn't
like
even
slid
move.
over to the left, and people were like, "Dude, this is gonna kill people. It's gonna." And yeah, if I could find it.
Basically, you're saying that the infrastructure they've used to build this car is just far beyond anything that any other manufacturer is thinking of.
Yeah, so
So-
in other words,
Safety,
they've accounted for the gigacastings being a single unit that could make it more susceptible to being totaled in a low speed impact by making certain parts of the car replaceable before it gets to the gigacasting. So you get the benefits of the safety, but you still get the repairability. It's quite smart. It's quite smart. They've thought of everything. That actually made me more bullish on it.
Well, also seeing just the efficiency today. So I don't know if that point was clear. That I noticed personally just from like 8 months ago that there was basically a 3x, 4x in efficiency in terms of getting me out of the service center for like a similar problem.
Mhm.
And the fact that they control it from start to finish almost without me even having to be there. As soon as the car can drive itself there, like that'll be the final
Oh, that's
step.
that's a good point. You could
As
just
soon
send the
as-
car off and be like, come back when
They
you
don't need
get-"
me. Like honestly, they didn't need me there besides like because I
crazy.
didn't even give them the key. I didn't even have to give them that.
Right.
Like they had full control over the car. So just watching the efficiency of Tesla and knowing just even 8-9 months ago when I had the RAV4 and I had to go to mechanic, like how slow and tedious everything was. I have to explain it to him. I have to show him what's going on. It's
Uber
like
credits.
they literally didn't even ask me. A mechanic didn't even come up to me. They took away the car. That's all they did.
Well,
And I
what's
was-
interesting is two quarters ago is when, who was it? It was Baglini. Didn't he say that on the earnings call that they are expanding the service? They're expanding.
No,
service.
I think what they said on the earnings call was that Tesla's using Palantir. But
Oh,
maybe
God.
maybe
He's
I'm
trying to
wrong on that.
pivot.
He's trying to go.
We're not
He's
we're
like,
not talking
So,
about Palantir.
you know, we're sorry if you're bored of a good company. Okay. And you want to just hear junk all day long.
I-
Weren't
no,
you-
I'm
hold
not
on,
bored of
weren't
it.
you
It's very-
just live?
But this
Weren't
is
you just
boots
live
on
an
the
hour
ground. Hold on. This is boots on the ground
I'm
shit.
not pivoting. I'm not pivoting.
Hold
I'm
on.
actually trying to highlight some
The
comments.
reason this is important is because we're talking about something that's just not stock price related, and that's not
Yeah.
the number of units being sold. This is boots on the ground that'll make your investment become more bigger in value over time. If Tesla's doing all of these things like the service centers and the parts, and they're still busy, but they're doing 4x efficiency and the way they do it, nobody else is doing what they're doing. I've never seen it.
Thank you, Ken. Because
So-
I was like, this stuff actually gets me and Vitaly excited.
Yeah, well, this is what makes me more
Wait, so
bullish about Tesla.
You were in Starbucks talking about this for an hour. You both.
Okay,
Yeah.
can we talk about Waymo and
I love it.
robotaxis?
No,
Because
that's so
that's
cool.
actually
We
We
happening.
either talk about Korean. I'm sorry, Korean.
Ukrainian.
Ukrainian Freudian slip. Freudian slip.
No. Can we talk about
producer
this
wife.
thing? This is actually really big news. Right here. You want to bring it up? Waymo is actually
Chris is like,
partnering with
not
Uber.
banking.
Right. Right.
Listen, whatever makes money, man. Whatever makes money. But
Uh,
no, it's interesting because right now you're seeing Uber is actually partnering with Waymo, which means that now all the stuff that we were hoping that Tesla would do with the robo taxis, the other companies are starting to catch up and doing. So just
The reason
FYI,
the reason they're
Huh?
doing that on the shareholder day recently, Elon said, I'm surprised I haven't seen this reported more. He said once FSD goes live, they will not allow it to work as an Uber. The only way it can be used as a rideshare is through the Tesla app. That's a serious concern, because eventually we know that all rideshares go in Johnny Cab. Anyone that saw like Total Recall, that's where it's going. They're all going to be autonomous. And if you can't have Teslas on Uber, that's a serious problem for those guys.
That's not the way.
Hertz
it's gonna
might
play
be the
out.
guy,
That's
So-
not gonna. What they're gonna do is the network will be seeded anyway. People who own Teslas can go on the network. They might choose Uber. They might choose Tesla. They might choose both. Just right now, you go on Uber and Lyft.
But they'll know. This is the thing. They'll know.
see the point that
Yeah.
I'm trying to
He's
make
saying
is that
It's okay for them
he's
to
saying
know.
it
You
won't
can't.
let it work out.
Elon can't say you can't work on Uber. Elon, that's one thing he probably cannot say yet.
With FSD, no, you probably have to drive it yourself. You won't be able
the
to
point
use
that I'm trying to make is that robo-taxis are closer than we think. So a lot of people that were projecting robo-taxis out to be much farther in terms of like coming out. You're starting, yeah, you're just
I'm still
seeing
predicting that.
yeah, you're seeing that there are other manufacturers and other third-party companies kind of bringing this idea into fruition. So
I'm sorry,
once
the Ukrainian women.
Can you put up the
Yeah.
Ukrainian comment?
P.
P. Morton. Oh, that's funny.
Well,
You
are
know,
you guys laughing
I'm
because you?
sorry, that needed to get called out.
Some of those mofos are real funny, man. I
They're real
gotta tell
funny
you.
dudes in the chat. It's almost like there's two separate things going on. It's like there's a chat and we're just
There's a whole Ukrainian chat
yapping on
going
the
on.
Have you
Anyway.
guys had Ukrainian food? You've had Ukrainian food?
Yeah, I'm Russian.
Yes?
Of course, I've had Ukrainian food.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
I don't know the
thought you like
difference.
hated Ukrainian
There's
food.
no
Yeah.
difference.
I
It's
don't
all
know.
Sorry,
boiled.
Chris, you were saying, okay, robo-taxis are
No.
closer than we think, and you think Waymo and Cruise are going to be first to market with somebody like Uber or
Well,
Lyft?
not so much. I mean, they're already out there in the wild right now, right? But the point is that once you have these technologies start to become like normal place, the development around it becomes like, oh yeah, you know what? Robotaxis are a real thing now, and so people become comfortable with it, right? I would say about 2 years ago, the idea of a robo-taxi, I mean, even when Kathy first put it out, was like, yeah, that's never going to happen. But now you're actually starting to see different versions of it come out. So even regulations around it will probably get, speeded up. So yeah, I think robo-taxis are a lot closer than we think. That's all, especially if
They're
the big
already
guys are
out. If you're in
supporting
San
it.
I honestly think
Francisco,
Chris was
you can
replaced
get-
by some sort of robot because like 6 months ago, everything has changed. Like it's night and day. So what has changed fundamentally for robo-taxis for you to even think that?
Because cruises are on the road in San Francisco and Austin
the CEO,
and
the CEO
Arizona.
And small little areas
No,
with
but the
HD
CEO of
mapping,
Cruise-
totally different technology, LiDAR, 1 billion cameras. They're using something totally
Right,
different.
but here's the thing: the fact that something is out there in the market and it's successfully working, the idea, like think about how many
There's
ideas,
a quantum computer in the
they needed
market
to
right now
prove-
working.
It,
You know
it
that,
proved
right?
the concept. They proved the
yeah,
concept.
it proves the concept that it's
Yeah.
possible. Tesla will have to prove that it doesn't need all these other extra sensors
Well, it's
to
already
get
doing
its
that.
cars to work.
They're already
Yeah.
doing that.
So
They're already
so
doing that.
that's the yeah, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, things are geofenced and this, but this is the first time. Like, imagine right now the first cell phone to come out when it was like this brick, like giant thing, right? If you told someone like, yeah, you can make calls from anywhere, just using a phone, they would have laughed at you. They would have said, no, where's the cord, right? But the first one that came out ended up making things palatable, and then within 5 years, everyone had a cell phone.
You're missing the
became
safety
miniaturized,
concern.
yeah.
So I'm not
Yeah.
saying FSD won't come out earlier. Elon might do this.
No,
And
I
we
meant
talked
robo
about
taxis, not FSDs. Robo taxis.
Okay, so robo
FSD is different.
with
yeah,
someone
yeah.
sitting there, or there's nobody there
No, nobody's sitting there. That's the point. The one
across
with GM
the
Cruise,
United States, across the United
in
States,
Cruise,
not geofenced.
In Cruise,
No, but
there's no one in the driver's seat, dude. This
I
is
know,
right
but they're
now in San
geofenced and they're
Francisco.
small, really small
Yeah.
areas. By the way, extremely
Yeah,
small
but-
areas. Like
but you can
miles.
geofence a lot of areas. You see, that's the thing. Like, especially if you're in a dense urban environment, and like let's say New York City, you don't need a lot of geofencing. It'll come on, especially if you're in a high density area that like the cities are saying, you know what, we don't want this many cars on the road. We want to limit the number of cars, but we also don't want to take away from service. They, like I said, localities right now, they see what's going on in San Francisco. And if you had gone to them 2 years ago and said, hey, this is something that we can bring to your city, your state, whatever, they would have said, no, this is stupid, not an idea. But the proof of concept is working. And that's the key. Yeah.
2 points too.
Let me bring up a guest because make your 2 points. The guest is in the chat talking about the same subject, so we're not going to switch the topic.
Two
So make
points
your
about
points
that.
that I'm
Number one, we already have geofencing. If you're in New York City and you're driving a green taxi cab, you are not allowed to drive in Manhattan. You can only drive in the outer boroughs. And if you're driving a yellow cab, you can only drop someone off in the outer boroughs and pick them up. In a sense, that's geofencing. You're only allowing those vehicles to operate in that area, so it's already there. And the other thing about it is like, I'm not like the biggest fan of how Cruise is doing it, but they're still taking fares. They are making money doing this. So even though I think we all agree FSD is the better solution.
They're not making any money doing this,
autonomy.
by the way. Each car is like $500,000.
Yes.
They're
What
making
I'm saying is
$0 doing this.
people are paying it, and they're getting used to this idea of getting in a car, sitting in the back seat, and having it drive you. That's all you need is just to start getting that out. And that's actually going to help Tesla, I think, in the long run. That's going to actually help Tesla.
And the reviews that I saw were very positive. A lot of people were saying, look, at first it felt weird, but like I actually like this more than I like getting into the car with somebody physically, which is shocking to hear. Like, wait, you're talking about
if you're a chick coming home from the club at night, you want to get in a car that you don't have to worry about the driver.
Did you guys see the
All right,
video?
let me-
Hold on.
yeah,
There's a video with a guy.
Bring on a guest. Bring on the guest. Bring on the guest.
There's the video with a
You guys
guy taking one of these Waymos, right? And the cop is like trying to move the car.
Oh
over.
yeah.
He's waving the car, and the guy in the back seat's taking the video. He's like, dude, he's just cracking up. He's like, I can't move the car. I can't do anything.
Yeah, I think they gave him a ticket.
Wait, the guy the ticket or the car?
The car just like stuck in the door. What are you gonna do?
That's funny.
Go ahead, Emmett. Yeah.
Okay. Let me bring on the guest because he wants to talk about Tesla. But before we get there, at 59 minutes and 15 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, for the 7th day in a row, we have hit 400.
Wow, we have to really work for our supper this time.
Seriously, yeah.
Well, we started. I noticed like it's a couple minutes before 10, and we had like 30 people just come in because people expected at 10. So sometimes I know we went early today, guys.
Look at
But
Broccoli
the fact-
Bob, which is a great name, by the way. He's like, how'd I miss the entire pub? I didn't get alert that it started. We faked you out, bro. You never know. Where the junkies are unpredictable, man. Tomorrow it's going to be who knows when.
No, it's going to be 10. Normally 10. Yeah.
Normally 10, yeah. But
the guy left backstage. So he just
damn.
he was in the stat. It was a Steven Toro. He guys was talking about. That's why
Bring him back in.
We need HD maps of the whole area, and that's both good and bad. If any one thing changes in the area of construction, something that's out of the order or an accident, all those vehicles are no longer, they're just bricked. They're not going to do anything until they can either remap it or that it goes back to what it was pre-mapped. That's a downside of having it geofenced, but it's still a step in the right direction. And I think ultimately it's going to prove to be beneficial to Tesla. If this LiDAR thing and pre-mapping doesn't work, guess what Cruise is going to do? Or they're just going to license Tesla FSD, put the computer in, and then all those vehicles are now back on.
When you consider how much a medallion used to cost, 500.
Hold on, can you guys put in your questions or whatever, and then we can bring up a couple people? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
I put the link in the chat. Everyone's there.
So let's do that.
Links in the chat. So
we're gonna probably wrap up soon. So
yeah, because I also gotta jet a little bit. But
so we'll do one guest. Steven, join that link. We'll have you on for about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll be done for today.
Cool.
Go ahead, Chris.
This was a good conversation, guys. Like this was
great.
I thought it was going to be 20 minutes, but it just
no. There's so much to talk about, and to go into detail here. We have privacy concerns. We have like a bull case for Tesla playing itself out with all the way they manufacture, the service centers, like all these things are happening in tandem.
Right to repair is a
right to repair.
Ukrainian women. Don't forget Ukrainian women.
Not forget about the Ukrainian women.
Steven, what's your opinion on Ukrainian women? Are you bullish on Ukrainian women?
Right. Blonde,
I was going to pay for having Carlos clicking the link, but
that would have been so funny. Steven, I think I've talked to you on Twitter a bunch. A Studio PhD. I recognize your ad name, but I've never seen you. So awesome! Thank you for joining the live stream, man.
Yeah, nice to.
Do you have a PhD?
You're clearly
I should be studying right now for my PhD, procrastinating with you guys. So.
What is your PhD in?
Biomedical science. But it's more like biomedical engineering, so tissue engineering.
Nice.
And,
Also, and what year are you in? My sister's a PhD, and I was there I watched her go through the whole process in her defense. I was like, it's nerve-wracking. So a lot of respect to you guys doing that.
Yeah, second year now, and I'm supposed to have my first kind of defense in a week and a half. So
very nice.
Should be writing that shit.
Good luck.
Yeah, we have a lot of smart people who watch the show.
Not smart people.
Seriously.
Yeah. Do you plan to do research, Steven, professionally, or you want to go into the workforce and with the PhD?
Yeah, so I'm doing research right now, but I think I'm looking more to go into the workforce. There's more money, way more money, industry, or I'm gonna have an internship with 3M this summer, doing something completely different. A lot of data processing that I never done before.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, what's your question?
Well, I was just debating with Matt Money. He said that Waymo is the way to go. I don't know if he's joking or what.
It's so hard to tell if he's joking or not. And then he'll be just type like, emit to 0. And you're like, man, like, dude.
Well, he owns like 6 shares of Google. So he's trying to.
Don't be blind.
Matt Money does not. Matt Money doesn't like Tesla, so that's why he's trolling a little bit. But he's not a fan of Tesla. So what do you think? Do you think Waymo's the option or Tesla's the bull case for FSD?
I mean, you can have both things working at the same time. The thing is, what can scale better and what can be more profitable long term. For sure, Waymo have but more complete service right now. But have you guys seen the video in which a Tesla is driving at the same time side by side with a Waymo, and Waymo do like 40 minutes, Tesla do 20 minutes?
Yeah.
So
But I've seen the
Eventually-
opposite. But to be fair, I've seen the opposite. The other point that I was going to make when I said the 2 points is they're testing it in San Francisco, which is arguably one of the hardest markets to test them. I've driven in San Francisco and down some of those streets. It is fucking crazy. It is like, it's like a, you know, the FSD final boss, you know?
So my money say how is not scalable. Well, if the consumer don't use it because it's 2 or 3 times the time, then right there you're gonna prevent scalability. On top of that, you need all these radars, you need HD maps, and if Tesla can do that with just cameras, you know, will be way easier.
It's a $500,000 vehicle from what I last read.
Yeah.
The Waymo vehicle.
Wait,
So
but
even
is
if
that-
they knock it out in half, it's a $250,000 vehicle.
But
okay?
is that for the cost of the vehicle, or is that including the HD maps?
No,
that are
that's
needed
that's all of the LiDAR. That's all of the equipment they put on and have to mount and specially do for these
Still
vehicles.
cheaper than a medallion. Just still cheaper than a medallion.
True.
That could be true. True
Yeah,
that.
but the car doesn't, you know, need to
Yeah.
sleep, need to take a shit. Like the
Yeah.
car.
Well, no. I think Steven has actually hit the nail on the head. If Waymo can't get their runtime to like 20 minutes, like Tesla can with FSD, which one are you going to take at the end of the day? I want to get to my destination in 20 minutes, not 40 minutes.
I mean, in New York City, it doesn't matter how fast your stupid car is, bro.
That's
As-
true.
And actually, here's a
I'm
legit.
also-
It's always an hour and a half.
I have a legit question. Does anyone know what happens with the Cruise or Waymo vehicles when they need to charge? Like, where do they go to charge? Is there a center? Is there a place where they go to charge? How does that work? Because they're gonna die at some point.
The thing is, like, they mostly operate on time frames. So maybe you have them during off-peak hours. You don't need to charge that much. Maybe you don't do as many trips. Even when it's raining, they are not allowed to operate. So I don't know how many miles they actually will put in one day before they need to charge. Maybe they don't even use the whole battery or something. But the other argument is, if Tesla have thousands of these cars, and let's say Waymo have a couple of them, and you go to your app and the Tesla will be there in your house in 1 minute versus the Waymo is going to take you 15 minutes to be there. Which one you're going to use? Like, obviously the one is faster.
Well, actually,
cheaper.
the faster is not not necessarily the crux. It's the availability, right? So the
That's
number
what you
of
just
cars.
said. You just
No,
said
no, I
that.
know, but that's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
No. If you're saying like the speed of the car, then it's a different thing. Like
No, faster to reach to your destination.
Faster to reach
like,
you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. It means
no,
availability.
so you're
yeah.
you're
Availability.
saying that there would be more Teslas on the road. That's what it is. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
The other thing too is, imagine if you, like, sometimes if you're going with a group and you can specifically call like a Model X or a bigger vehicle because that's what you need. Versus, it looks like all the Cruise vehicles are the same, right? They're like little.
But
Yeah,
that's
but that's
only
for
right
now.
now.
That's
That's
for
just
now.
right now.
Yeah.
That don't matter.
They have SUVs. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
So
that's
do-
going to
do-
happen. And in fact, I think the original thing you said, Stephen, is that there's going to be multiple winners. I hate that everybody thinks there's one winner.
Yeah. Agree.
It's going to be Tesla, it's going to be Waymo, and it's going to be Mobileye. Okay, everybody's ignoring Mobileye while they're building out a
Yeah.
massive network, also collecting a lot of data at the same time.
But
So,
aren't they, isn't that a bolt-on solution? You can take Mobileye and bolt it onto anything.
well, they're building, and you still got to build in the cameras the way they're doing it.
So
I think it's. Go ahead.
Mobileye licenses the technology that Mobileye's developed used to belong to an Israeli company that was bought up by Intel, and then Intel spun them out.
Yeah.
And then there's third-party companies. So like right now, Mercedes doesn't want to invest in doing their own R&D. So what they'll do is they'll partner with Mobileye and use Mobileye's technology specifications and put them, in the car, so that this way the software stack and everything else is running off of Mobileye's data.
Yeah.
Same thing with all the LiDARs. The only thing is the Mobileye relies on LiDAR data to do a lot of the stuff. Whereas Tesla's whole thing is we have computer vision and that's all we need. We don't need ultrasonic sensors. We don't need LiDAR. We don't need this extra stuff. And like I said, I wish Tesla all the luck, but I'm not sure I agree with that. Like, I think more data, more sensors equals better, like more data, which means that you'll have a better picture of what's going on.
There is an
are-
issue with sensor fusion, by the way. So when sensors
Yeah.
compete for which information is
Yeah.
correct, that is a real issue. So
Errors.
I've dealt
What-
with robotics. I actually built little robots where we had all the sensor data, and some of it would be competing against each other. And so I never even solved that problem in graduate school. But if Andre Karpathy says that this is an issue, I tend to believe him that this is an issue. Maybe Steven, you would know.
I know as much as from the interviews what they comment always when LiDAR and camera conflict, which one you believe.
Right.
Elon has said many times that if you want to use some sort of LiDAR, use something that don't go in the wavelength of visible light, which like high definition radar stuff like that. But I was going to mention. Do you guys know about Coma AI?
Yes,
I think they have a pretty
Mhm.
interesting, compelling
I
product.
don't. Yeah.
they do. It's that hacker. What's that hacker's name who did that?
I
forgot. We talked
remember
about
him
it so
from
long
the.
ago. I haven't heard about them in a long time.
Oh man, wait, I know this guy. I used to watch his
Coma.
coding live streams.
Yeah.
You're talking about the guy that Elon hired to help Twitter, right? George
Yes.
Hotz. George
Jo-
Hotz.
right, the one who broke into iPhone and all the PlayStation stuff, I believe.
Yes,
But
he jailbroke when he was like 11 years old, and like he's
Yeah.
a prodigy.
so Calm AI is basically competing, and he's not making full autonomy though. He's making driving chill. So it's meant to be just an assistant to driving. You're still supposed to have a driver and not be a fully autonomous.
Tesla
vehicle.
almost bought them. But he told Elon "fuck you" because he didn't like the deal.
I didn't
Straight
know
up
that.
to his face. He said,
I-
"Yeah, Tesla almost bought them." They were negotiating a deal, and then he was just like, "Fuck it, Elon's gonna have too much power." That's why it was funny. Elon asked him to come help at Twitter. There was like beef between these guys, and then he left at Twitter after 2 months, and he was like, "This is unfixable." He was like, "We can't fix it."
Right.
You know, there's
Well,
So,
consequences.
I mean, do you have a significant position on Tesla, or you're still?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Someone was
He
asking
says that
today,
like he says it like I would never. When
Say
when
no.
there's Palantir stock available, I would never.
He had a bigger position in DNA, by the way.
You were like
No,
90%
look,
Palantir.
at one point I was like 80, 90. Yeah, I've consolidated some positions. I agree with Chris's thesis that the banks are undervalued, and I think that's a better play right now. For Tesla, me buying at 200, it would have to do very well in the next year and a half versus some of the other plays I'm in right now. So at that point, from a monetary perspective, it's just not worth it right now.
All right.
But
For
eventually,
me, Tesla is
get
my
back in.
biggest position. Second position, Palantir, and I have like a $12 cost basis in Palantir, and Tesla like a $130 cost basis.
That's amazing. That's
Very
awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I love
Remember,
it.
he's getting
Yeah.
a PhD, Amit. Maybe you should listen.
Look, no, there's Tesla is going to be phenomenal. It's just for me in terms of short-term capital appreciation, buying now at these prices is I'm not gonna get what I want out of that. I think by 2025, 2026. I think by 2030, yeah, it's a 10x.
I think you should buy. I think you
FSD
should buy
worked out.
regardless, because like the S curves that we haven't reached yet are massive.
But again, that S curve, just to push back a little, is the robo taxis.
Robotaxis
you know, there-
I don't
I
think
know
so. I keep
Optimus.
saying it. It's
Hold on.
energy.
That's so many
Yeah.
S curves.
Hold on, there's energy, but Farzad's valuations factor 20 million to get to his number. Most people say 20 million is a little crazy. So if you do 10 million, you're looking at maybe a 3x. It's about a 650 650. So like 3 to 4x by 2030. But a lot of you are talking about it's $1,000, $2,000 a share, like Stephen Mark Ryan 2030. That requires FSD. You're not getting there just with energy. You need FSD. And if FSD doesn't happen, I mean, Kathy's whole bull case is robo-taxis. I'm not as bullish on robo-taxis, even like Chris. I'm less bullish on robo-taxis than anyone else on the podcast. So if that doesn't happen, there is no 10x in Tesla by 2030. If robo-taxis does not happen, there is no 10x. There is no
I think
$1,000.
the thing is will be
That's
the
a
thing is you
$5
can
trillion
get it-
company, by the way. That's a $5 trillion company without robo-taxis. I don't know how many cars you have to sell
Service,
to get there,
dude,
or
but
how much energy you have to
it's
supply.
but it's what Rango talked about. It's service. It's upselling people. If the FSD
So
take goes up, you have to look at software margins on top.
Carlos, $5 trillion of upsells in the next 7 years. That's insane.
If you have,
You don't
gotta
believe-
have
I mean,
FSD.
you-
By the
that-
way,
that means that you
hold
don't
on,
believe
real
in the
quick.
robot, basically, right? You don't believe in the
No,
Forget about that.
I'm not saying I don't believe. No, forget Optimus. Elon said the difference between Tesla being a lot or zero is FSD. So if FSD is not there by 2030,
Well,
there is no.
here's the thing,
10x.
by the way. I don't think FSD is coming the way everyone's talking about, just driving us around autonomously. I think it's coming the way where I'm going to pay $100 as soon as he drops it to $100. He's going to have millions of cars out there. We're all going to subscribe to it. It's going to be like just a subscription, which helps us drive and not worry about every single road condition. So maybe you have to take over at some point and whatnot, but I would totally pay for that service. To me, that's worth $100.
absolutely.
Maybe it's not worth $200 a month, but $100, 100% I'm there.
If they give you that with the premium connectivity, right?
Yeah.
Like the premium
It's
connectivity,
a no-brainer.
real-time traffic, all that,
I'm signing up today.
it's
No
done.
brainer. And that
Yeah.
means as soon as they have a 10 million fleet, 20 million fleet,
$100
imagine
a month.
how many people convert. Like,
and the margins on that are 90%. Amit, I'm sending you something funny.
Yeah.
Maybe we can end with this.
you're not thinking about FSD the right way. You're thinking about just like you get in a
he's thinking
taxi,
of
a robo
being
taxi.
Uber. Yeah, he's thinking about being Uber.
So
You don't have to do
before
that.
you guys go,
Well,
go me
again,
out.
but hold on. Go ahead, Stephen. Go ahead.
Okay, so every time Elon Musk say that sometimes Elon Musk say things because he want to push some particular team, the company, whatever. I don't believe that without if Tesla don't achieve FSD how they are promising, that's gonna be super detrimental to the name and obviously to the stock. But I believe that the big growth will be in the Optimus robot. Like when every time when Elon Musk say the product is a factory, Tesla big power will be manufacturing. I envision the Optimus being sold to I don't know how many industries as a big scale manufacturing.
Here's the thing, Steven. They don't even have to sell one robot to anyone. All they have to do is replace all their factory workers with robots, even if it just stays there. Think about what it would do to Amazon right now if they could replace all their workers, right, with a robot that's 3 times more productive, never takes a day off, doesn't give a shit about unionizing, never goes to the bathroom, never takes a day off, right? Just that alone. It would be the benefit of scaling up while at the same time reducing costs, like reducing your cap and topics.
But also at one point, 20, 30 years in the future, the fleet of cars will get saturated, so you cannot rely forever making cars. I don't know how every year we sell so many cars. I don't know how
because wear and tear. Cars break down all the time. People get into accidents. It's a normal progression. Plus, most of the world is not automotive right now. Like there's still a lot of people in South America. They don't have cars. Africa, they don't have
emerging
cars.
Markets.
Right? Emerging markets like India right now, they're moving from to like back in the day in India, if you go there and you had a car, like you were the special guy in the village. Now the car is like becoming a second nature to people. So there are still markets out there that automakers have not hit. Plus, there's a transition from existing ICE cars to EV cars. That's another big factor. So a lot right now, Tesla and like maybe 2 other manufacturers are the only ones that make good EV cars that you could possibly buy. So that limits I would say that the demand for EVs is going to go up and Tesla's going to capture a lot of market share. And that's the primary bull case for Tesla. The question is, hopefully they do not drop the ball, and basically get too comfortable, because I think that's the thing with most companies. They get too comfortable and then they leave room for competitors to come in. And that's what our original discussion today was about with regards to rights to repair. If Tesla does not get that part done, where they keep cars and they they keep them like locked in an ecosystem. If a competitor comes in and says, look, we don't want to do that to you guys, we want to create cars that are at least repairable, doing other things to them, they might leave an opening for other car manufacturers to come in and take market share.
I don't know.
But hold on. I'm still kind of confused. If FSD and regulations and everything doesn't improve, you think people will pay the subscription if the car can't actually drive itself? Like you guys are saying, don't think of it in the robo-taxi way.
You're confusing FSD with paid fares with robo-taxi. FSD just means the car drives itself. Robo-taxi means
right. So my point is
picking up customers and charging them.
But Elon and Kathy's analysis is that FSD leads to the robo-taxi, which is what gives them the $1 trillion valuation.
Yes. Okay.
That's the $10 trillion valuation.
It leads to that, but
that's the 10x. That's as Steven's saying.
It's not even a trillion yet.
The 10x.
It leads to that.
10x is a 5 trillion.
5 trillion. 5 trillion. That's still a lot.
FSD leads to robotaxi, but if you've got people paying $100 a month, if you got 3 million vehicles on the road, what is that? If you got people paying $100,
why would they pay that? Why would they pay that if FSD is not?
No, everyone have a car. No, everyone will buy a car.
You're not understanding. Yeah. You pay the $100 so your car can drive you anywhere you want. Okay, here's an example. Amit, you want to go pick up your girlfriend. You can send your car to go pick up your girlfriend. You just send it in FSD. You send the car to go pick her up, and it'll bring her back. You're using it as an autonomous vehicle yourself. You're not charging fares, but you're using it as that. Then there's the next level up where you put it into a network, and it goes out on the network.
This is my question. Do you think there's a $5 trillion, which is 10x, if there's not the robotaxi, but there is that $100 subscription? That's what you're saying will create the $5 trillion valuation.
I mean, I have to run the numbers, but you have to understand that
then the conversation boils down to something very simple. Either robotaxis is the 10x, or FSD still creates a really good return, even if it's not robotaxis. That's my question.
Yeah,
that's what I'm asking.
I think so.
The one thing I will say is in 10 years, 5 trillion is 5 trillion seems like a lot to us right now. But this is the same argument that I heard about Apple 5 years ago, where it was like, oh my God, $1 trillion? No company could ever be worth $1 trillion. And here we are, they're worth 3 trillion, right?
Right
5 trillion will be 5 trillion might be the next $1 trillion in 10
Are
years.
you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
Yes.
I-
Yeah.
For these big companies, yes. As they
Yeah.
get more market share and they control more of the world, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
25. We were talking about this. The 5 companies are 25% of the S&P right now. 9 trillion between
true.
those 5 companies.
That's
That's
true.
$9 trillion.
Yeah, I'm telling you, 5 years ago, if you said that there was going to be $1 trillion company in the market, people would have laughed at you.
I know,
They're like,
it
"There's
didn't
no
sound-
way.
Yeah,
There's
it
no
didn't-
way." But here we are.
But also, like,
That's fair.
no car company have ever reached that valuation, so you need to account for other S curves.
Well, the thing is,
and the robots and other
that's
things.
true.
Yeah, that's true. I think people need to stop thinking of Tesla as just an auto manufacturer and more like a conglomerated industrial. And conglomerated industrials for the last 100 years have typically been the most valuable companies on the planet. Like if you go back to like pre 2008, the most valuable company on the planet was General Electric. Okay, they were the top #1 company in the world, right? Yes, they lost their crown; they're out of the game. But if you go back in history, that has primarily been the most valuable companies on the planet. It's not, I mean, back in the day, there was no software, there was no IT and all that other stuff. There was pure industrials. And I think right now, Tesla could be the next pure industrial company that comes out, ends
That's
up
fair.
being a $5
That's fair.
trillion company.
And
That's-
just today, he was he did one of those dial-in interviews with the Wall Street Journal, and he announced that he said that they will be announcing the next Gigafactory by the end of the year. And like a week ago, he followed the president of India. So people are saying, "Oh, it's going to be India." My guess is
You
either
wanna-
India,
you wanna-
India or the UK.
I just want to say one thing.
India, the UK,
Do
Japan.
you think before you play that?
Yeah.
Amit, go large just for a second, because I want you to take a different framework than the way you're thinking. Here's a question for you. Do you think the data right now they're collecting, right now, Tesla's, all these cars are collecting all this data, obviously. Is that valuable?
Yes. Yeah.
At some point,
Yes.
there's going to be a monetary value put on it. Right now, it's zero.
How would you materialize
say what I'm
that
saying?
It's
monetary?
okay. The data that we're talking about is 150 million miles of data. We're talking
And
about
that's the
massive.
current fleet.
No,
Next
I
year,
get
it'll
that, but
it'll be double the
all
fleet.
of that data only matters if FSD works, right? Otherwise, what do you use the data?
No.
Okay,
You're
here's
not using it. You're not using it for advertising
hold on.
recommendations
No,
on
no,
Twitter.
you're not.
Hold on.
Here's-
Even Chris
here's-
brought up the pothole thing, and that was like a silly
Yes.
idea for the data. But there's a million ways that Elon will figure out how to monetize. Plus the fact that he's building a whole supercomputer network called Dojo to help monetize it. You're not thinking about all these things. Forget about robotaxis. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but that is not the only way they're going to have
But
these
what's an
S-curve on
example?
S-curve
What's-
stuff.
what's-
I'll
happen.
give you
another
an
example?
example. If you watched on Investor Day, the head of the supercharging division of Tesla talked about how the data from the cars allows them basically to act as the air traffic controller and move vehicles around so that there's no wait times, and it also gives them ideas as to where they need to plug in, where they need to create more chargers. Do you understand? It allows them to target areas that need more service, and it allows them to distribute the people to keep the load on the network, to keep the cars in and out as quickly as possible. That's not something that, say, a company like Ford or even ChargePoint, right? ChargePoint or any of those other players, they don't have the data coming from the cars per se, and the car companies don't have the data coming from the charger. Tesla has both. This is the reason why. This is the
That's
reason
fair.
why.
That's fair. That's very fair. That's very fair.
This is the reason why. You notice how whenever you see like a McDonald's, there's always a Burger King across the street, and then like a Wendy's opens up. Why? Because McDonald's does all the research about where to put, where's the best place to put the McDonald's, and then Burger King just puts one across the street to save money on the R&D, because that data, that takes time. It's the same sort of idea.
So you're talking about the telemetrics that the cars collect between the whole fleet, or you're talking about the data that collects where the car is driving on FSD?
They know where the car's driving. They know where the car's driving.
Let me
They
give
know
you a
what people
simple
are running out of
example. So
charge.
right now I've been using Google Maps. Before, when I first got the car, I was using Google Maps in terms of the data. Why are they so special? So I've been using Google Maps to drive around, ignoring the Tesla app, because I figured Google's just better at driving me around. Like that's what we've learned. So I found out through some research, obviously, that Tesla is using Google data. They are taking their feed in terms of like how to get from point A to B, but they're actually routing you different ways in between because of their network, because of the data they've collected. They actually, and I've checked both apps, they have saved me time and time again in terms of routing. So what is that worth? Like right now, it's worth nothing. Like I'm not paying extra for that kind of functionality. But I'm telling you, there's some sort of a SaaS business being built up with all of the things that they're accumulating that I am willing to pay for at some point. Maybe it's just not.
That's
today.
fair, because that's basically Weejo's business, and Tesla could theoretically just do what Weejo is doing in terms of licensing data to different other OEMs.
There's a massive business being built here, and once again, I'm not smart enough to know everything Elon is trying to do, but it's obvious to me at some point they're going to turn on the switch, and it's going to mean something. This data that they're collecting.
That's fair.
I just want to say that I went to the shareholder meeting at the factory, man. That's just out of my mind blowing experience. Going to the Texas factory is huge. I think Chris is muted.
Chris, you're muted. Chris, you're muted.
How did you get an invite?
Yeah,
I wanted to go. I want to go to one.
This is the first time I tried to go. It's just random. I submit my shares, and next thing I know.
Okay, if you're comfortable, how many shares do you have?
Not
if
many.
You're comfortable.
125 shares.
Okay, not bad. No,
oh, so they might have just
one.
I'm sorry.
Man, I'm
They might have
all
just
these
wanted
people are super special, bro. I could buy 125 shares tomorrow, and boom, I'll be all next. You know what? Screw it. Screw you guys. I'm buying some Tesla shares just so I can go to the next convention.
Dude, wouldn't that be awesome? I do a live pod outside of
the thing is, the thing is for Amit, why it's so disappointing that he doesn't see the S curve on top of S curve, that he's thinking, oh, FSD, I need to call a robotaxi. Like, you're going to miss one of the biggest secondary runs in the history of the stock market because you're ignoring the actual boots on the ground shit we even just talked about. Me and Carlos just spent an hour blabbing about.
Okay,
this is the only
I'm not going to miss that. I am in the moment not allocating a shit ton of capital to it. I'm not saying I'm not going to buy the stock. Buying it at 250, if what you're saying is correct, is fine because it'll be 2,000 one day. But at this particular moment, I don't have the capital to allocate to it, which I think is fine because there's a different portfolio.
Yeah, I agree with
one
Amit.
S at a time.
No, I agree with Amit in that
one S at a time.
That's perfect.
I agree with Amit in that there are short-term plays right now that are easily bankable that you can utilize to diversify into more speculative names. Because at the end of the day, look, guys, no matter how much we love this company and we think there's a bull case for it, it's still speculative that they get to that valuation. Tomorrow morning, something could happen. It doesn't go that way. There are a lot of sure bets in the market right now that can generate you a good return in a short period of time that you can use to diversify into longer term plays. So I know some people were on the comment section saying, oh, Truist is not, does that Truist is a 10x possibility? I'm like, yeah, but in the short term, if they revert back their mean, it could be an easy double. In which case now you have twice as much money to go in heavy on a Tesla position a year from now.
I bought some Truist today. I bought some Truist.
Yeah. So unless Tesla's got some rabbit, that it can pull out of its hat, that's going to give it like an S curve, a second S curve in the next year, even less probably in the next 6 months, Truist is the better play. So right now, my capital allocation is going towards regional banks that are highly undervalued, that the market is discovering. And let me just show you guys something very, very interesting from today.
These pods are getting to be too long. I'll say it here first.
Carlos, you were supposed to be gone a while ago. Steven, thank you for joining as well.
Chris, make sure to buy stock for your wife so she can go as a +1 to the.
Well, my future wife might hate Elon, as I was telling Carlos today in the group chat. So who knows?
I think
we're at 420.
I think you'll software update her.
420.
So today, this was the market 420. Okay, pretty much. Pretty much everyone was down for the most part. Guess which sector was riding high? Banks and regional banks. They were all up today.
Guys, we finally got
down
there.
market.
We got
in a down market. So just letting you know.
But it's fair.
Hey,
that's the point.
It's fair. It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, and if
you believe that money is rotating out of it.
Yeah.
This is the point for Steven. He was like, buy some Tesla right now. I'm like, I'm not buying any Tesla right now because
you don't have to buy it right now. But eventually,
yeah. So I'm gonna buy it. It's just 100%.
Let me put it this way.
It's just like they have to go to $1 trillion to double.
No, but it's very simple.
Not that
it's
easy.
very simple.
That's just not that easy.
If you told me right
now,
now,
they have to go back to $1 trillion. Hold on, they have to go back to $1 trillion.
Hold on. When they went, no. When they went to $1 trillion, interest rates were zero, Carlos. When they went to $1 trillion, and inflation was non-existent. So this $1 trillion market cap, Tesla bulls want to be like, that shit was fake as fuck, and you know it. It was absolutely fake. Can it get to $1 trillion again? 100%. I mean, absolutely. Everything you're saying, 100%. 10 trillion, 100%. I think it's possible. But that trillion was not real. That was completely artificial. And now for them to actually get back there, which I think is going to be easier than what we say than we think it is.
All right,
but
let me
it's
ask you a
not
question.
The easiest.
Let me ask you a question. This is
Go
very
ahead.
simple because you're missing. I get the compounding of money, but if for 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when New York was crap, and I told you, hey, you should buy this building for $200,000 in the middle of Manhattan, okay, down by East Village, it was worth nothing. In fact, they were giving buildings away. Nobody wanted them. Okay. Yeah. What happens 20, 30 years later? Yes, you had to wait 20 years. I agree with you. But what happens 20 years later?
You retire.
You never have to work again. That's the answer. That's it.
Yeah,
it's
but
done.
I don't disagree.
It's
with you.
generational wealth
saying
created. That's the difference.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying in the short term, I'm not going to miss Tesla forever, but for the next 6 months to a year, I might have to miss some Tesla.
No,
But
I mean,
we'll
for example, in the shareholder meeting, Elon said, there's some rough times coming, and Tesla
next
is
12
not
months.
immune to
12
macroeconomics.
12 months.
So
That's true.
That's the.
They have to
that's the
figure out
other
this
thing.
margins versus advertising. They still have to figure this shit out. There's some stuff they got to figure out, and hopefully I'll get back in before these multiple S curves take off. But I think I have a little bit of time. I don't think it's happening tomorrow.
I agree
That's
with
my
you.
point. That's
Yeah.
my point.
Right now, the opportunity in the market is the banks that have been beaten up. A lot of them are beaten up a lot unfairly. So as long as you're willing to, do the research, find the good ones that are out there. Right now is a good time to pick some up. Ride back to the mean. All you really need to do is just ride back to the mean where it used to be trading from. And then after that, you have more flexibility on what to buy next. My thing is none of these companies are going to, yeah.
I was going to say, Steven, thank you for being on. We'll catch you next time. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, let's call it.
Yeah, let's call it. Hour and a half, 439. Quit while you're
I think tomorrow I want to cover some SoFi because what's his name? Noto did an interview with Kramer. That was actually very important.
We got to get to Unity at some point. So
yeah, Unity as well.
Talk about.
Palantir 40 was also fake. 100% agreed. It should not have been a $100 billion company at the time. I agree. Please like the stream. We've got our linked channel. It's in the top pinned message. I'm going to link it again. Finance Junkies. Please subscribe to that. And that's pretty much it. 400 people again for the 7th day.
You got our Twitters and stuff.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter. Throw your Twitter in the chat, so it's the last thing as people watch this.
Like and subscribe if no one has done that yet.
We have 132 likes. Let's see if we can get that up. And this was a good one. This conversation.
This was great, Carlos. This was. I didn't know which direction you were. We didn't even talk about DeSantis, and we'll talk about that tomorrow.
We didn't talk about it. I know. I'm like we shouldn't even put a title on it. It's almost like a. It's.
I changed it already. The producer admit was on it.
But I think there was a lot of value. I think ultimately, if we all leave the conversation learning something and contributing something, that's a great pod. So. High five, dudes.
And we got to do this one. And a mix update because Vitaly
and Eric, I agree. 9 p.m. Junkies is greater than 10 p.m. Junkies. It's a little easier for me. But if we go an hour and a half late, then it doesn't.
You know what? Can you do a poll 9 versus 10? What do you guys?
Well, I can't do 10 anyway. So while
Ever?
I'm working, next week, no. This week, yes.
So next week, can you do 9, Vitaly?
No, I can't do next week at 9. I could do.
Oh, you can't do next week at all.
But this week I can do it.
No,
so why don't we do 9 for this week? It would really help me out. Just trying to get the kiddo to bed.
Okay, so we'll make the announcement. 9 p.m. to help out Carlos because he's got a real life and all that stuff. And then we'll go back to 10 p.m. next week unless people like 9 p.m. 9 p.m.
Yeah, but we're not going to do it without Vitaly. We're not going to not have Vitaly unless we
have shit, AI. I forgot Vitaly. You can't. Okay.
Right.
What a dick.
Are you a Russian AI?
I was going to say.
All right, so 9 p.m. this week.
Okay. But it's only next week, and then I'm free again the following week. So we could go back to 9.
It's flexible. We got dynamic times here.
Listen, if you guys want CNBC timing, you go watch CNBC.
Right. If you want that, go watch Kramer.
Run a poll on it, so this way we know. 9 p.m. Eastern. That's the thing. So this way we get an understanding from our audience, like what would be the best time, and then we could provide it during that time.
Okay, I'm doing it right now. 9 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m.
Yeah, to me, 9, 10, whatever. I'm still gonna be awake. So,
dude, you and me both. I think.
Yeah, because Chris, you don't sleep. Chris, you don't sleep, and Carlos doesn't sleep either.
I do see a lot of 9s. So maybe we keep it at 9 this week and see how it goes.
And let's see what the numbers do. Let's see if the numbers do and what the engagement does and the chat and all that.
Yeah.
And see if it's actually beneficial to us.
Because it was so funny. We were struggling to hit 400 the whole night. Then at 10 or 9:56, you get a bunch of people coming in because they expect it at 10.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
But
so 9 looks like a wide margin, dude.
But next week 10, just because I can't make it earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
This was
we'll see you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow.
Appreciate you guys.
Later.
Good night. Have a great one. Bye.